Good morning, good morning. I'm a little bit earlier this morning. So today's live is about chaos in our comfort zones and just continuing with our theme of stress awareness throughout April. Today I wanted to talk to you about chaos in our comfort zones, and that might sound a little bit odd or even a little bit intriguing, because often when we think about comfort zones, what we normally think of is like a safe place. So we don't often think about our comfort zones being chaotic. But let me tell you, so many people that I work with, so many of my clients and me equally, very much our comfort zones are actually quite chaotic, fueled by drama, whether that's external or internal. So just to explain a little bit more about that. So a couple of questions really. How comfortable are you when life seems to be ticking along okay? I know there's definitely been times in my life where there's been a lot of chaos going on, a lot of drama, mostly self-created, some not, and very much when living through that high energy state and that drama and that stress and that chaos, very much thinking, God, I can't wait for life to settle down a little bit. And then when life did settle down a little bit, I didn't stay in that place of calm and settled for very long before I was looking for something new, some new drama or some new thing to take up my time. And that's what I mean by chaos being, comfort zones being quite chaotic, in that we have learned that actually our comfortable place is actually that place of high stress, high drama, being busy all of the time. And so when life does settle down, hi, whoever's just come on, when life does start to settle down a little bit, that can actually feel quite unsettling. Like we almost get into that mindset of when life is calm, something bad is going to happen. So if you can relate to that, if you can relate to, this is not a conscious thing, this is the subconscious protecting you and keeping you in a state that it feels safer at. And for some people, as crazy as this sounds, and this was definitely my world, I kept myself in a heightened state of stress because it was familiar to me. I grew up in a family where mum and dad worked full time. My mum was a very, very busy person. Hi, Chloe. And so there was a lot of that kind of chaotic energy in our house. Mum and dad were quite volatile. They would have a boom, they'd have an argument and then it would all settle down again. So life growing up was quite chaotic and volatile. And so you can see how that just became my normal. And so as I grew up and as I went out into my life, I created that same level of chaos and drama in my own life, because when life settled down, that was really unsettling and unnerving for me. And this isn't a conscious thing. We don't go out there to deliberately create stress and drama in our lives. But if that is our preferred state, because at least we know what we're getting, when life settles down and it feels really peaceful and comfortable, that in itself can actually feel like that's outside of our comfort zone and can feel very unsettling. And so we go and seek something that's going to give us those familiar feelings of stress and drama and overwhelm. I know it sounds bonkers. I'll just share a bit of a story with you. I was working with a male client last year, and he came to me to work on his weight actually, but as we sort of had more and more sessions, it was really interesting because he was following exactly that pattern. He was creating a lot of chaos in his world through his work and through his education. He was studying for a master's degree. He was then thinking about doing a PhD. So this stretching himself in his work environment and in his education was his way of creating this chaos. And as we start, and obviously that had a big impact on his ability to go and exercise and his stress level, so he was overeating. So we could really see how the pattern was playing out. And what I wanted to explore was, where did that come from? Where did he create this chaotic comfort zone for himself? And he started to share a bit of his story growing up. He talked about how his dad was an alcoholic, and how when his dad was at home and there was arguments between his mum and his dad, it was very volatile. That wasn't the bit that really bothered him. He kind of got used to that. He'd just stay out the way, he'd stay in his bedroom and put his music on so he didn't hear it. The bit that really stressed him was when his dad wasn't at home, and that time was coming of the evening when normally he'd be coming home and not knowing whether he'd been to the pub or what mood there would be in the house. So the bit for him that had actually created the most unsettling feelings for him was actually that moment of calm, the calm before the storm, I guess. So you can see how that very much mirrored the life that he was living now. He permanently was keeping himself in the place of heightened stress. So that kind of mirrored when his dad was home and mum and dad were arguing, because that bit he was kind of familiar with and okay. The bit he was uncomfortable with was with that silence, the lull, the calm, if you like, before the perceived storm. And so at any point in his current life where life started to settle down and he started to have some time to give some time and attention to his eating and to maybe himself personally, he would then decide to take on a new project at work or a new like a PhD or a master's. So he'd have these moments of calm and then he'd create some chaos. Does this make sense, guys? So when our comfort zone is actually chaotic, you know, that's a really interesting one, isn't it? So we are living in this permanent state of stress, and it will vary for each of you. So give some consideration to this, guys. I know it sounds kind of crazy because, like, when you look at stuff like this logically, you'll be thinking, you know, why would I do that? You know, and you may not even be aware that you are living with these feelings, you know, of anxiety, of, you know, it's only been in the last 3 or 4 years where I've recognised that I have anxiety, because it's been with me so long. I just thought it was part of me, you know, that feeling where you feel like something's going to happen and you kind of feel like your chest is being crushed. You know, it's been with me so long that I didn't realise what it was, and it's only since I've been able to like go inward and work with my anxiety that I've now realised that you don't have to live with that, almost that fight or flight, that permanent state of feeling like you're on high alert all of the time, because it has a massive impact on us. And when we start to look at why we are struggling to lose weight or why we're holding extra weight, this plays a big part, not only from like a hormonal perspective in terms of when we're stressed, our body's releasing cortisol, and that has an impact on our craving levels and things like that, but also from an emotional eating perspective, when we are living in this like consistent, persistent state of stress and anxiety and worry, that is a opportunity and an invitation to keep rolling around the emotional eating. So ladies, chaos in your comfort zone, have a little think about that. Come and share your thoughts on what I've talked about today. Can you relate to your comfort zone, your normal being quite chaotic, and how does the world around you feed into that, and how do you create that internally by the way you think and the way you talk to yourself? You know, that negative self-talk is another way that we reinforce a very turbulent and chaotic internal world. So let me know.